I've never been to Kentucky.
I have. I went to the Louisville Slugger Museum.
Oh my God, so did John. John paid extra to get his own signature on the bat instead of like a famous person's signature.
Incredible.
Anyway, story for another time. Hello, Gabby and Allison. I've been a fan of JBU since the YouTube days, and your work has often helped me to better understand myself and others. Thanks. TLDR, what is romance? And specifically, what distinguishes romantic love from platonic love or a romantic relationship from a close friendship? I, 24, they, them, am asexual and have previously only dated women. My best friend, he, him, is gay and aromantic. We have agreed to marry each other in a few years, and I am thrilled.
Aww.
We have known each other for 6 years, we're roommates for one of them, and now live in different states, but we plan to live together again soon. It's not the traditional, if neither of us are married by X date, let's give up and marry each other sort of deal. Neither of us can imagine being happier with someone else. The thing is, when I look back on past relationships, which were explicitly defined as romantic, the only thing I can think of that might distinguish them as romantic compared to my relationship with my friend was my willingness to participate in sex and kissing. I know that those things are neither necessary nor sufficient for romance. Some ace or touch-averse people have romantic relationships without them, and some people do these activities without feeling romance, so I'm left wondering if I really understand what romantic love means at all. From my experience with not realizing I was asexual for a long time, I know that it can be difficult to tell whether you understand / have had feelings when you actually don't understand them because you haven't had them. My friend / partner and I can't figure out whether what we feel for each other is romantic or if I just have never really felt romantic attraction before. Neither of us are particularly worried about it, but I am curious because I want to understand how other people feel. At this point, my best guess would be that a romantic relationship is any relationship in which all participating parties would agree that it is romantic. But then, is romantic attraction just the feeling of wanting to be in a relationship with someone that you both agree is romantic? Obviously, different people have different ideas about what they would do and expect in a romantic relationship, but that being the only strict criteria doesn't seem right for me. And defining romantic love feels even more complicated, unrequited love being a thing at all. I'd appreciate any insight because I have found it hard to get a helpful answer anywhere.
Oh, well, you came to two experts. Well, first of all, I read about something called Boston marriages, which is an old-timey phrase for when two women who were like friends married each other. I don't know that much about it, but it was like this idea of friendship and platonic love being just as important and people needing to pass property onto each other, etc., etc. And so they would have these marriages. Now, whether they were actually platonic or they were hiding being gay, who knows? But the point is that there is this concept, and it's not unusual. What you're describing of marrying your friend for, you know, different benefits and for companionship, like, it's not that wild, at least from what I'm seeing nowadays as like a resurgence of that kind of thing. Like, I think like because people are more in touch with their actual needs and what they want, not just in the sense of like coming out with gender or sexuality, but also like with sexuality in terms of asexuality or aromanticism. There's words for these things that like didn't exist in the modern zeitgeist, in the national zeitgeist, in the international zeitgeist in the same way. So I think people are figuring out more nuanced descriptions of who they are and thus allowing for more nuanced types of relationships, partnerships, companionships, you know?
I want to say something really radical for this show.
Go on.
I believe that the answer to this question not only might not exist, but also doesn't matter.
Yes, I also think it doesn't matter. Look, man, I get like wanting to know what other people are experiencing because they're, you know, Allison says this a lot, like it's not normal, it's common. Where like, you know, it's like, oh, I want to know what other people are feeling or thinking about this. Obviously, every song and every show and every movie is all about these romantic monogamous relationships and blah, blah, blah. And it's defined one certain way and everything like that. But I think it's just like common and also societal and not necessarily like normal or important if you don't experience it, you know, like.
But I also think you're setting yourself up for an impossible task because I think romantic love means different things to different people.
100%. Yeah.
I don't think that there is one form of romantic love. I think that I don't even want to get into the nitty gritties of it because I think this is like one of those things where like being okay with it not being clearly defined and being okay living in the murkiness of just what works for you is like something that will help you versus feeling like you need to define it, you need to figure it out, you need to compare it to other people. You know, if you figured out that this person is a great life partner for you, whatever that means to you, then that's a wonderful, beautiful thing. But trying to like fit it into a box and trying to answer this question that is going to have a different answer from everybody, I don't see how that serves you.
I almost feel like you're more of an expert than we are. Like, I'm like, why are you coming to us? Like, you've got it all figured out. You know exactly what your relationship with this person is. You seem to have great communication. You lived together for a year and didn't kill each other. Incredible. I think like all the markers of, you know, we've been friends for this amount of time. We lived together. Like, those are all traditional markers, which like are good indicators that you're compatible. But like you have a better handle on what both of you want in this relationship and partnership than we do. And like I think romance looks completely different to different people. And some people it is hard because I do have a big problem differentiating between platonic and romantic relationships. I would parse that out even further and say that I have an issue with platonic versus sexual relationships because I do think I've had platonic relationships that are romantic. And I was very uncomfortable with that for a long time. I did not like I liked to use sex as the dividing line.
What made them romantic?
Just that like you're obsessed with each other and you're like, you know, it's different. I don't know. It feels different.
But you can't even describe it, right? I can't even describe it. I don't, you know, because when I go, oh, well, romantic for me is when there's a sexual component and a best friend component. But for a lot of people, they don't have that sexual component. For a lot of people, they don't have that best friend component. So it's an impossible thing to define.
Yeah, I feel differently. I feel like romantic doesn't necessarily include sexual. Like there's romantic friendships. Like, I don't know. I think like what's been great about everyone sort of talking about their lives more on the internet and the interconnectivity of the internet is that someone listening to this show can now hear what you just described and see themselves in it and realize that this is something that they can do. And this is like an option for them and their friend or, you know, something like that. Like you're going to meet so many people and there's all these different ways of living your whole life that are different and that might be compatible with some people and incompatible with other people. And wow, what an amazing breath of humanity. Yeah, Beans agrees. Beans just shook his head.
I also think, you know, letting yourself open to the possibility that your relationship with this person might change over time, right? So like
anybody could get divorced. I mean, it's like, you know.
Oh, but I'm just saying, like in this, there might be times where it feels romantic. There might be times where it doesn't feel romantic. There might be times where you are interested in potentially exploring something physical and then realize that's not for me. Like, you know, like allow yourself the openness of not trying to put the relationship in a box or feeling like the relationship must stay stagnant and the same.